It's that time of the year again. Halloween is almost upon us. And just as quickly, it's canceled. Yeah, this year for many of us, Halloween is going to be spent at home, by ourselves, or with close family. And to be fair, based on the resurgence of a certain Corona-chan, it should be. It could be worse, though. Just take a look at how Laurie Strode spent her Halloween. And no, I'm not talking about the murderers. I'm talking about babysitting some punk-ass kids. Ugh. Halloween, the movie series, has a few ups, I guess. It's also had some massive downs. So I was thinking, why don't we take a look at the entire Halloween series as a whole? Reboots, fractured timelines, and all. And let's rate them from worst to best. This is Halloween. From worst to best. Number 11, Halloween Resurrection. I have to say, when it comes to the best Halloween movie, that decision was pretty easy. I mean, realistically, there are only like 2, maybe 3 options that have a shot at the crown. When it came to worst, though, my lord, was it an actual battle. Ultimately, I landed on Halloween Resurrection as a grand champion of suck for a few reasons. But first, a plot synopsis. This movie follows a bunch of sucky-ass characters as they join some sucky-ass reality show to spend a night at the Myers house, which is filled with some sucky-ass props, and Busta Rhymes, who also sucks ass. Don't get me wrong, I like Busta Rhymes. I enjoy his music. But man, is he terrible in this movie. There's also some dude named Decker, apparently, in this movie, who serves, like, no purpose other than trying to modernize the franchise, because he's, like, a computer or something. I don't know. I'll level with you. I fell asleep, like, halfway through this movie. I've seen it multiple times. Block it out every time. Eventually, this movie has Busta Rhymes kung fu fight Michael Myers.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
And he wins. Let me repeat that. He kung fu fights the Shape, and he wins. My lord, do I hate this movie. Probably one of the things I hate the most about this movie, it kills this timeline's Laurie Strode, who's a fucking badass. And this movie does not earn that right at all. Before we go on, I forgot to mention something. The timelines. So let me get this out of the way real quick, for those of you not in the know. Halloween has a timeline that can make Zelda blush. Not really. This Halloween movie is set in a timeline with Halloween 1 and 2, and then H2O, and Resurrection, of course. So that's one timeline. Halloween 1, the original, Halloween 2, the sequel to the original, H2O, and Halloween Resurrection. That is considered one timeline. It's basically in its own universe. Then there's a timeline that's also pretty much in its own universe, has nothing to do with these movies. That timeline is Halloween 1, the original, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, and Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and finally, The Curse of Michael Myers. Then there's a timeline that has just Halloween 3 by itself. Like it has Corona-chan. It's in quarantine. Nobody wants to be around it. I don't know why. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Then we have the Rob Zombie timeline, which has the Rob Zombie remake of the original, and then his weird Part 2 Rob Zombies 2. We'll talk about those later also. Finally, we have the current meta, which has Halloween and Halloween. Okay, whatever. There's also 2 more movies coming in this timeline, the one that we just talked about. Hopefully they don't suck. Like this movie. Number 10, The Curse of Michael Myers. I really, really hate this movie. I really do. Seriously, this movie could have easily taken the place of Resurrection. Wouldn't bat an eye. This movie is so bad that there are 2 versions of it. and they both suck. This movie is the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever did suck. One version omits gore, but explains the cult bullshit better. One drops a lot of that cult nonsense, but not all of it, and ups the gore. Unfortunately, though, it still sucks. The movie follows Paul Rudd, who's supposed to be Tommy Doyle, but who cares? Michael kills not Daniel Harris. Then the cult tries to steal the Daniel Harris baby, which may or may not be an incest baby. You know what? Fuck it. This movie sucks. Just look at the endings. The director's cut sees Michael defeated by DND, and the other has Paul Rudd all over him. The only reason for me that this movie doesn't get the top spot is because of Donald Pleasance. Dr. Loomis is here, and it's a shame that this would be the last time we see the late great actor go toe-to-toe with Michael Myers. Rest in peace, Doctor. Number 9, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Look. I know. Some people really like this movie. For me, though, it just misses the mark on so many levels. I mean, sure, the gore is fucking dope. Tyler Mane as that hobo Michael Myers, that look is so awesome. Daniel Harris and Brad Dourif are also solid as hell. But man, all the other characters suck. Scout Taylor, or whatever the fuck her name is insufferable here. Her friends are also terrible garbage. Dr. Loomis is, I don't know what the fuck is going on with him. He's like money-hungry, fame-starved, off-the-wall trash. Also, can somebody please, for the love of all that is fucking holy, explain to me, why is Sherry Moon Zombie still in this fucking movie? You died the last movie! Stop! You don't have to be in everything that Rob makes. Look, they let Rob Zombie do whatever he wanted with this movie. And let me tell you, it shows, because this thing is just off the fucking rails. There are white horses and psychic links and these imageries and things that have nothing to do with anything. Michael is a plant for some reason. Finally, also, in this movie, Michael speaks for the first time. And in this movie's lore, Michael hasn't said shit in forever. And so what are his first words after all of these years? Die! He says die. Oh, holy shit. Wow. That's some, let me just put this, groundbreaking stuff, Rob. That's great. I fucking hate this movie. Number 8, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. So, Michael Myers in this movie is like continuing to try to kill his niece, but this time with like shitty characters taking center stage. Yeah, this movie, it squanders a really cool idea set up in part 4, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But it also does the cardinal sin of setting up the dumpster fire that would eventually become the curse of Michael Myers. Seriously, these movies sometimes border on slapstick, especially this one. There's a lot of comedy bits that just fall flat on their face. However, this is the first movie I'd say isn't that bad. Mostly saved by a young Danielle Harris. Wait, what? No. Oh yeah. No. She plays a different character in Rob's universe. In Rob's universe, Danielle Harris is Annie Brackett. In here, Halloween 5, she's Jamie Lloyd. She's a lot younger, and she was a little babby. And in Halloween, Rob Zombie, she's not a babby. Sure, her tits are everywhere. Anyway, here she's Jamie Lloyd. And let me tell you, she's a rock that holds this dumpster fire together. Even Loomis, he's kind of a scumbag in this movie, using Jamie as bait. Oh, doctor. Oh. All in all, this movie's bad, but it has some moments, like that moment where she's running from him and she's hiding in the... What the fuck is that? Like a trash chute? I don't know what that is, but that part is fucking dope. So, I mean, hey, I guess that means at least we're headed in the right direction, right? Even if this movie still technically... it kind of sucks. Number 7, Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch. Ooh, Wait. Wait. What the fuck is this? Where the fuck is Michael Myers? Yeah, this movie follows a completely different story that has nothing to do with the previous movie or any of the ones that follow it. Also, I don't know if this movie has anything to do with witches. I mean, I guess technically the cult could be a cult of witches, but they don't really look like witches. There's that one mask that looks like a witch, but it's not an actual witch. But it's actually not that bad of a movie. A cult, not that one, wants to bring Halloween back to Satan or something. So they make these masks that fucking body these kids. I mean, holy shit, these kids get destroyed. Shit's fucking cash. If you remove expectations, understand that this is an old movie, it's actually a pretty decent watch. The reason it's so high on this list isn't because it does anything particularly wrong. It's just, it has nothing to do with the series it's named after. And because I like the movies that are about to follow a little bit more. Still, I see you, Season of the Witch. You're not bad. You're not bad. I wouldn't go as far as classic. That's a little bit, but cult classic. How about that? A cult classic. I would consider you a cult classic. Not you, Curse of Michael Myers. I know you have to do with cults, but you're garbage. Number 6, Rob Zombie's Halloween. Yeah, I know I kind of shit all over Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 earlier. Deservedly, I think. But this one, I actually really like this movie, especially when it first came out. I do feel like we dive into Michael's childhood a little bit too much. His reasons for becoming a killer, the killer that we know and love, they're really cliche. With that said, I still do like the young guy who played Michael Myers when he was a kid. Hell, I even like Sherry Moon Zombie in this movie. Right? That's crazy. Nobody likes Sherry Moon Zombie, except for Rob. I sympathize with her in this movie. When she sees Michael kill that nurse lady for the first time and, she gives up, she goes home and she takes her own life. That moment is super emotional and, man, it's fucking heavy. Again, also, Danielle Harris is in this movie. She's great. Not young, weird Danielle Harris, the older, hotter one. We also get Brad Dourif in this movie. Not the young, Chucky Brad Dourif, but the older, hotter one. And I even like Scout Pout the Trout, whatever the fuck her name is. She's pretty good in this movie. The main reason this movie, for me, lands at a 6 is mostly because the characters are a little bit over the top. It's a remake, so obviously if it's a remake, it's not going to beat out the first one. And it reuses a lot of what you'd expect. Still, I do like this movie, even if it's far from perfect. So, you got me there, Rob. You got one, and everyone gets one. Number 5, H2O. Once again, another movie I really like despite some huge glaring flaws. This movie saw Jamie Lee Curtis return as Laurie Strode like 20 years after that first movie. That is fucking dope. It also has LL Cool J in this movie. He's actually part of one of my favorite scenes, even if it's perhaps for the wrong reasons. Yeah, this movie also has Josh Hartnett, and he does something or something. I don't know. With that said, this movie is kind of meh until you get to that showdown. That showdown alone is one of my favorite things in the series, and is why I give this movie a ton of slack. That part where she pushes a button, the gate slams behind her, she goes with that fire axe screaming, Michael! Michael! Out into the night. She's like ready to throw hands. That shit is so dope. This is one of the first times, and it's definitely the first time that we've seen them go head to head in over 20 years, but it's kind of the first time that we've seen her, Laurie Strode, go after Michael. She goes in there ready to whoop his ass. And she does. Kinda. Yeah, it's crazy to think about. If there was no Halloween Resurrection, this would have been the perfect send-off for this series. But no. Anyway, I like this movie, even though I know it's not perfect. Number 4, Halloween 2. Yeah, I know. I also didn't expect Halloween 2 to be here. At number 4? Really? I mean, don't get me wrong. I wrote everything. I made the list. I'm now recording that list. Obviously, I have some ideas and some thoughts written down. So maybe I guess I did have an idea that Halloween 2 was going to be here. But still, wow, crazy. Halloween 2 was a pretty damn good sequel. But for me, a few movies just do the same things that this movie does, only better. Or I simply like them more. With that said, I do like this movie. I mean, it's still number 4. The hospital setting is pretty damn tense. The kills are pretty damn vicious. Loomis and Laurie are still pretty damn cool. And I also really like this movie. Literally, it picks up right where the last one left off. Like, this takes place literally the same night and into the same wee early morning hours of the next day. That's awesome. I wish more movies would do that. Also, again, this movie can actually cap off the series with a pretty definitive Michael kill if you want to look at it that way. That fire stunt right there, that's fucking dope, dude. I like this movie. I do. I'm happy. We're finally into movies that are pretty good. Pretty damn good. Number 3, Halloween 2018. Not to be confused with the original Halloween or the rebooted Halloween. Why do we keep doing this where we just make sequels and reboots and call them Halloween? Do we want to confuse people? Because you're fucking confusing people. I'm already confused. Anyway, this was a tough one because I really like this movie. This movie reboots the timeline, taking place 40 some years after the first movie, and it disregards all other movies other than the first. We still get to where we want as fans, which is Laurie versus Michael. But in this movie, Laurie has a daughter and a granddaughter, and they whoop just as much ass as Laurie. I mean, granted, we want to see Laurie, but I'm actually happy that we have these Strode women who are strong ass whoopers. It's kind of like Dracula and Van Helsing, or is that who fights Dracula? Van Helsing? Simon Belmont. It's just like Dracula and Simon Belmont. Laurie is Dracula. This movie will eventually be getting at least 2 more sequels, and I hope they're just as good as this one. Ultimately, the main thing holding this movie back, and the only part that I strongly dislike, is this part where with this doctor. They call him New Loomis, or we call him Noomis. Dr. Sartain. There's this one part, and it's on the screen. You see what he's doing. It's not great. Stop. Other than that, this movie's pretty damn good, and it could have been a little bit higher, but these next 2 movies, I just love them, man. They're great. I love them so much. I want them to marry me. I want them inside me. Too much? Nah, not enough. Number 2, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So if Laurie Strode is the queen of Halloween, that rhymes, then Danielle Harris is most definitely the princess of Halloween. And this, my friends, is her triumphant debut into the franchise. Jamie Lloyd is likable. Her sister, you get the feeling, genuinely cares about her. And that relationship carries this movie to the number 2 spot. It does all of the things you'd expect from a Halloween movie. It's just as well acted, thanks to Danielle Harris. And it even tried to do something different with that ending. So in this movie, Danielle puts on the clown costume like old Michael, and then she goes and she fucking stabs her mom, and it's like it ends on a cliffhanger, like she killed her mom like Michael. That's really cool, and it sets up for her to be maybe like the new Michael Myers or whatever. If this movie had decided to follow that thread rather than just retreading what had already been done, maybe Halloween 5 would have been much higher on this list. Unfortunately, it didn't, And what we were left with was Trashus Maximus. Still, this movie here, Halloween 4, does a ton right and is one that I try to watch at least once every year. Number 1, Halloween, the original. Yeah, I know, and a surprise to nobody, the number 1 slot goes to the classic, the Juggernaut. But, more importantly, the one that started it all, Halloween. This movie was so successful, it spawned a whole fucking franchise, man. Of course I'm going to give it the number 1 spot. Jamie Lee Curtis spawned an icon here, and Laurie will always be the number 1 nemesis to Michael, no matter what timeline or new characters you introduce. Laurie and Michael are linked, which is what sets these movies apart from the other slasher films. Sure, you got your Nancys, sure, you got your Tommy Jarvises and Flint Clickwards, but Laurie has gone toe-to-toe with Michael in 6 films? And even when she doesn't come out on top, fans are like, nah, fuck that. And BAM! Reboot. Guess who's back to throw hands with the Shape again? Damn right. Jamie fucking Lee fucking Curtis. She's here to lay pipe, motherfucker. The first movie is one that I can still watch in 2020 and just get lost in. It's not only Halloween in name. This movie, for me, is Halloween. The first movie is the franchise. Words do not do justice how much I love this movie and how much this movie helped spawn my love of horror movies. This was one of the first slashers I ever saw, and it scared the shit out of me. And sure, it doesn't have that effect on me anymore, but goddamn, do I still love this fucking movie. So, there you have it. Every Halloween ranked. Agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments section. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have yourselves a happy Halloween.